The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down to the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out to see if they truly hold up. That beautiful tone is in honor of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Today is the 50th anniversary of said wreck.
R.I.P. boys.
R.I.P. to the
boys.
29 good crewmen who perished in the gales of the November Witch.
Is it a witch or a wind?
Witch of November, November Witch. He calls it, Gordon Lightfoot calls it like the Witch of November, the November Witch in the song. So just kind of referring to it as that, you know.
So he is ascribing a human theme to a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, he's turning a horror into a horror.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's personifying a freshwater body, if you will.
Yeah.
That is Lake Superior.
It's today,
I bet
right?
you know about
It is today.
You know about freshwater bodies, don't you, Andrew?
I mean, I think we all do.
Yeah. The only thing I know is I've gotten served those memes for like 4 weeks now.
Dude, today was the lead up. The past like week, every time I'd like go scrolling for videos, I'd have like 5 or 6 in a row at times. I'm not even kidding.
Just because you open the episode with that song, that means this is going to be my dad's favorite episode.
Good. Good.
Wonderful.
I'll try not to curse for him.
And good. But other than the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, instead of watching all those documentaries, we watched GoldenEye.
Far different
A little.
than the Great Lakes theme
I don't
we were
know.
going with
Same
there,
kind of tragedy
so.
in some people's eyes.
I think the body count's about the same, though.
Maybe higher.
Yeah, James Bond definitely killed more people than the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
I don't know. I don't know.
And we know how it happened. We don't really exactly know how the boat capsized.
But we did watch GoldenEye for Die Another November. The first film into it, Andrew, we missed you last week as we discussed the best Bond of all time. Who do you think it was?
I actually didn't listen. I should have listened. But
That's great.
I wanted to be
I
a
actually
surprise.
don't fucking care.
Who do I think it was? I think he probably settled on Sean Connery.
That's who we settled on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who do you think number 2 was? It was Roger Moore.
Really?
Yeah.
It was Pierce Brosnan 3.
No, Roger Moore didn't make the list.
Oh, okay. I was about to say what?
The first thing
did.
Kyle did was put Roger Moore as far down the bottom as he possibly could.
Y'all don't like Roger Moore? What's with
He's
that?
the
Come on.
He's the softest, most like pippy little James Bond there is, hands down.
Well, he's dead, so respect him.
Oh,
So are the people from the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Like,
29
we're
of them.
paying a lot of respects today. And
Where'd you
Gordon
have
Lightfoot, too?
Where'd you have Daniel Craig? I'm curious.
4.
He was,
Really?
Yeah, right? Wasn't he 4?
or was third? He might have been third. Maybe he was
Third, yes. Brosnan at 2.
Brosnan was that-
See, I prefer Daniel Craig. He'd be my number
Well,
2.
You got to listen to the episode to listen to the reasoning.
Yeah,
Because-
Okay, I will, but I'm going to tell you I'm vetoing your decisions.
You don't get to veto it because it's not. you
Oh,
don't get
I'm doing it right now. Veto. It's vetoed. Sorry. I did it.
anything in your
I
head.
did it, and there's nothing you can say to undo it. It's in my
So anyway,
hand.
Anyways, going back to how I am the superior one here.
Like
let me
Lake
go ahead-
Superior, where the bodies of the people, crew. the
Oh,
good-
God. That's going to be a...
Oh man, how many times can we throw in Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald references today?
Oh man,
Is it going to be the same amount of times as we do Saving Private Ryan references every week?
I think we can surpass that today.
Oh,
The
God.
spirit of November is strong with us.
This
today,
is
so.
off the rails.
Should we gather ourselves?
Well, let's gather ourselves. Let's talk about GoldenEye 1995, right? Am I right?
Oh yeah.
We're going to go back in
Yes,
time
yes.
and tell you a little history, everyone. The reason we chose GoldenEye to start this off is because it is kind of the James Bond of our childhood. Would you agree, Kyle?
I would agree 1,000%.
Yeah. Growing up, the last Bond before this one was 1989, Timothy Dalton. Do you remember the name of it? Trivia time for you.
The Living Daylights.
License to Kill, correct.
You
So License to Kill was released in 1989, and Kyle mentioned this on the last episode. This was the longest gap between Bonds. The reason that the gap happened was because there was a lot of lawsuits, a lot of like filmmaking rights getting shifted around. and a lot of companies disagreeing on the direction of Bond and what they wanted to do with it. Over this period of time, Bond had died in the eyes of the people. The fanfare was no longer there. The 80s kind of had simmered on James Bond and 007. And so we were entering a new era where we had to save Bond. And to do so, they got a new one. Timothy Dalton had signed on to do GoldenEye, and then time had went on with all the lawsuits, and he decided he was too old and he didn't want the baggage of playing James Bond anymore. So enter Pierce Brosnan. And guess what? Pierce Brosnan was supposed to be Bond in the 80s. I don't know if either one of you knew that.
He would have been a young Bond.
He would have been a younger Bond, for sure.
Young Bond.
When Timothy Dalton got the role, they really originally wanted Pierce Brosnan. But Pierce Brosnan was on a TV show at the time. I think it was Remedy Still. And Remedy Still had gotten canceled. So he wanted to be Bond so bad. That was like his dream role. And it came available. And then all of a sudden, they uncanceled Remedy Still. And his contract had tied him up to that show for another season. So he had to turn Bond down, and that's how Timothy Dalton got the role. I don't know if you knew that, Kyle.
I heard something similar to that, but that sounds correct. The other, like, people like to shit on Timothy Dalton so much that it gets lost a lot, I think, in like what actually happened. Because he was just such a bad Bond, they didn't want him back, or he just was the worst Bond. He really is not the worst Bond, by any means.
Roger Moore.
Roger Moore is the worst Bond. George Lazenby.
So rude.
But like, I think that makes a lot more sense with just how the casting and stuff goes. And I'm taught on this project, or I'm on this. But like, again, I do think that in my mind, Pierce Brosnan will always be James Bond. He's not the best James Bond, but he is the James Bond for my generation, for sure.
Yeah, and what we were talking about last week, Andrew, was he kind of saved James Bond.
Yep.
We wouldn't really have the Daniel Craig movies if it wasn't for Pierce Brosnan saving the Bond character.
You think so?
Yeah, the Bond franchise was circling the drain. We'll get into some numbers in a minute, but this movie saved it, and this movie brought it back to a level of fanfare that the 60s and 70s Bonds had. And it really kind of catapulted the franchise into a new direction. We'll talk about it a little bit more as we get through the movie and how Bond's portrayed. I do think that Pierce gets outshined a little bit by some of his co-stars in this movie.
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean plays an incredible antagonist in this movie.
Alan Cumming.
Yeah, which Sean Bean's character was actually supposed to be played by Alan Rickman, and he turned it down.
Oh, that would have been great, too.
Yeah, which caused them to rewrite the character, though.
I mean, in another life, I guess.
That's Andrew's with us.
Good. That's to be
He
here.
was so excited talking about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, it like zapped all of his energy.
Oh, I'll talk about it again. The legend lives on, so.
We know.
So before we jump into some numbers here, Kyle, one thing I do want to get out of the way is I want you to tell me your energy level.
Using Great Lakes terms.
Using Great Lakes terms and shipwreckages on said Great Lakes.
I feel like I've reached the crushing depths, and the last bit of oxygen is being squeezed out of the small capsule of air that I have left in the little locked up cafeteria or bathroom that I'm sharing my final moments with a sweaty hog of a beast of a man. And we look at each other, we lock eyes, and we decide now is the time that we don't want to leave this world without having had our last kiss. We kiss each other. And in that moment I go, that wasn't really worth it. And then I drown. So,
That's awesome.
That's an all-timer, Kyle. That's
Yeah.
an all-timer.
there you go. There you go.
Hey, did you all know that the eyesight depth of Lake Superior is 27 feet?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty
Actually
damn
pretty
good.
good.
That's very clear.
That's like the Florida Keys good. That's pretty good.
Yes.
But you can't hit the bottom though, can you, Andrew?
No, because it's thousands of feet deep at the deepest
That's
point.
what
So
that's where the Edmund Fitzgerald rests.
actually, the Edmund Fitzgerald is only about 17 miles from the shore, believe it or not. Or 17 miles from Whitefish Bay, which is right near the shore. So that's not out in the very middle, but, probably 1,000 feet. 800, 900 feet is my guess.
I'm gonna go ahead and sound like a bunch of pussies couldn't make it a fucking short.
Hey, 29 brave men. Let's have some respect on this fateful day. Yep.
Sorry, my bad.
All right.
Speaking of brave men here, we're going to talk a little bit about the GoldenEye video game. Andrew, I know this is a subject that you're going to be very fond of because you grew up with that game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did. That was there weren't tons of first-person shooters back then. There were some, but there weren't tons. There definitely weren't first-person shooters with split-screen multiplayer either.
Yeah, well, I say this with the caveat that I played the game, but it was only when my cousin came into town because he had I didn't have an N64.
Oh, okay. Awkward.
Yeah, I know.
Fucking peasant, you swine. You fucking leper.
God, I don't even fucking look at you for the rest of this episode, let alone talk.
But it's developed by Rare. We all know Rare.
Yeah.
So
they did a lot of great games
like
back
Donkey
then.
Kong.
Name a couple, Andrew. Go.
Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong,
Star Fox.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Which is a great video game that has a Saving Private Ryan reference.
Good Lord.
It's all coming together.
But
even Mario 64 had the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald reference in it too. When you go into the pool and then there it is at the bottom of the
the shipwreck. What was the name of that world? Lagoon, Jolly Pirate Lagoon or Lagoon or something like that. But anyways, back to N64 GoldenEye.
So GoldenEye too, like to your point, the multiplayer. I mean, it ushered in a new world of video gaming at that time.
Yeah,
and it was a late ad on that game. Did you know that?
Yeah, it was 2 years after the movie. I'm pretty sure.
No, the video game itself was like a month or two away from release, and the developer had been working on split screen multiplayer.
Oh, I had no idea that was a thing.
It was an 11th hour edition that they were just like playing around with because the game was developed by 10 people.
That's it,
and they were all college students, and the guy was like playing with the split screen video. And then he just they were like, yeah, let's put it in. So they put it in at the last second, and it changed video games because we have multiplayer video games now that people just take for granted. But it kind of started with GoldenEye.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the games that you would play in, multi-person events where they had like 5 or 6 friends over. You'd take turns. One person would die, someone would step in. That was just that game, and like Mario Party, like the original, were ones that like everyone had in their rotation. Yeah, there was the actual storyline, the single player quest that you could,
which also had some of the stuff that became staples of first person shooters later.
Sure.
Like, I mean, it was one of the first games to like let you use the sniper scope.
Yep.
Instead of just like shooting randomly.
And then in multiplayer,
do you remember playing like against Odd Job in multiplayer?
Oh yeah,
and he was so small you couldn't shoot him.
But if you put on big head mode, you could see him, and that was a thing. You could have massive heads for whatever reason, and that was
which was also a tie to their other games like Banjo-Kazooie.
And they had references like they had the golden gun, they had the Moonraker, laser. It was just it brought everyone in.
It's funny too because there was the first game where you had to actually earn the cheats.
Yeah.
Like Kyle, did you play this game much when you were a kid?
Only when I was at a friend's house. I didn't have any gaming system. I was like,
oh, Jesus Christ, you're worse than Chase. Okay.
The first gaming system I had was a PS2, so I didn't have anything till like way late.
Okay.
Not much you can say about that one though.
So I remember going over to my friend Adam's house, and we would go. He had one.
Adam Carolla.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job, Andrew. Nice job.
Thanks.
Good job there.
Needed that.
I know you need that pat in the back so you can continue to live your life. So, yeah, I mean, I remember playing it. Fun split screen game. Pretty dynamic game at the time. There really wasn't anything out like it. And it took, I think Halo was the next game that I remember being drawn to of a similar ilk. Like, being a couple people at a time. It's fun. But it was a completely different kind of game. But again, that game walked so Halo could run.
And those were the first, those were, I'm not going to say the first because there's always more to it than that. Like, I mean, first-person shooters go back a little bit further, but that was one of the first games that kind of had the social aspect of it, especially from a shooter standpoint. And Halo definitely, like, Halo was something you did with your friends on a given night, and it kind of became like a party game. And that's kind of how GoldenEye started. That was like all of us in a basement, like 6 or 7 of us, and you you get four controllers and you just
Eating Cheetos and farting. Yep.
I mean, it's a simple life, man. That's a
Mountain
simple
Dew
life.
Code Red, baby. Throw that in there.
Code Red and pizza rolls.
Oh, Tostitos. Tostinos?
Tostitos,
yeah.
Arf.
And this game also became one of those things where this game introduced James Bond to a younger generation too. So it's just as a part of this movie as anything, and that's why GoldenEye had saved the genre, saved the franchise, and the game did as well. And that's what we all started watching James Bond, or at least like thinking it was cool to watch James Bond just by playing this game. Because think about it, like how old were you when this game came out, Andrew?
I think this came out in 97, so I was 5.
Yeah, you were
right
5.
At 5, and I probably didn't really start playing it till I was 6 or 7.
If you didn't play this game, if this game didn't exist, would you have watched a James Bond movie? Would you have...
I don't think Pierce Brosnan would have been as synonymous. However, I say that because 007 Nightfire came out in 2002.
Yeah.
And that still had Pierce Brosnan as the cover.
Great game.
Now, that one was even better, honestly, in GoldenEye, in my opinion. That one, I mean...
Well, GoldenEye is almost unplayable now.
It is. It's not...
Yeah,
it does not hold up. I would imagine...
Yes. Some game studios remastering it, so that's like... It's
better. Yeah.
But it's still...
still...
Nightfire is like the James Bond game.
Yeah, that one was... you still had split-screen multiplayer, but like... The maps and the world were so much more.
But do you think Nightfire gets made if GoldenEye is not as successful? As
I doubt it. No, you need you need.
Because I think GoldenEye made like $300 million or something like that, which is insane.
Yeah, for that time period. But no, GoldenEye was the precursor, and it was groundbreaking. So. But yeah, the image of Pierce Brosnan on the front of that is like forever ingrained in my head, even more so than the movie. Like when I think of GoldenEye, I don't necessarily think of the movie first. I think of the video game.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of us.
Yeah.
It was for me for a very long time.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a movie.
Hey.
I mean, when I was a kid, I thought GoldenEye was just a game. And I knew nothing about James Bond either. Like I said, my dad didn't really watch them. I think he watched them in the 70s. I don't know. I'll have to call and talk to him and see. I know he never like watched them around us or talked about James Bond. It wasn't like something he was like super interested in. I think he like thought it was okay. But until like that game came out, I had no clue James Bond was a thing.
That was the video games, and then we went straight into the Daniel Craig series, and that's what really brought me into what James Bond is.
Because Daniel Craig is, I mean, as much as we played GoldenEye when we were kids and knew of Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, we weren't really old enough to watch James Bond movies until the Daniel Craig series came along.
And, I don't want to get off topic, but I do think those Daniel Craig movies, like as movies, there's a few of them that are far better than most of the other James Bonds that have ever been made.
We'll get to it.
We will.
I mean, like, I started watching James Bond when I was like 8. And we would go to the video store, and I would get like the old Sean Connerys or the Roger Moores and a couple of the Pierce Brosnans, because Tomorrow Never Dies came out in, I think, 97. And then The World Is Not Enough in 2001, and then Die Another Day in
was 2002.
2002?
Yeah.
Like, they came out pretty quick in succession. So I was already wrapped around the James Bond finger at that point. It was very...
Do you think The World Is Not Enough is the worst James Bond movie?
No, I think Die Another Day is one of the worst. I think it's terrible. It's really not good. The World Is Not Enough has some icky points in it, but I think there's some points that we talk about, like Batman and Robin being really bad and hard. Like, I can't get into it. It's the same thing with The World Is Not Enough, or with Die Another Day. It's very upsetting. Even when I was a kid, I was like, it's okay.
Well, and what's interesting about the James Bond movies, because they're all like PG-13, right? Like
PG-13. The old ones are PG. New ones, starting in the 90s, were PG-13, I think.
Yeah.
Whenever the rating system came out for that, they started, rating them as PG-13, and they started pushing the envelope more with it.
I think this was the first Bond movie that was rated PG-13. I don't have it in front of me, but I almost think that is the case.
I think Living Daylights might have.
Okay. Been the first. Well,
I think.
Well, I know that this movie almost got an X rating. They had to cut a lot. They had to send it back to the MP.
X?
Yeah, because
Pierce Brosnan pull his cock out.
Basically, no. One thing that the MPAA had a problem with was Onatop and her kill,
God.
Yeah.
which we'll talk about in just a
She
sec.
was
but
aggressive.
yeah, they had to cut.
Who abused her?
They had to. That's a long answer there, Andrew. But like they had to cut so many frames off of that and send it back. But they had to send it back to the MPAA 11 times before they got a PG-13 rating.
Oh, they should have went with the director's cut, but whatever.
I'm sure there's a director's cut laying around somewhere that could be paced together, and I would want to see it.
I would too.
But Andrew, and let's talk about numbers here. We know the video game was successful. We know it made a shit ton of money. We know that this movie restarted the Bond franchise. Tell us a little bit about how well it did.
So it had a nice beefy budget of $60 million.
Okay,
60
not as
million.
high as I really thought it was going to be.
I guess fairly high for 95.
I guess
94.
but it's a Bond film.
Yeah, but this did really, really, really well. Domestically, altogether, 106,429,000 and some change. Internationally, 245,764,000 and some change. And then add that up together, worldwide, 352 million.
Plus,
change.
if you want to add in what the video game did, because the video game I think made about 300 million.
Yeah,
this movie was a smashing success.
Yeah, so this raked everything. It raked it all in, and it made a killing. And you would expect that, or would hope that, when they're trying to create a resurgence of what James Bond is and where they want it to go. So rousing success.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was probably, honestly, about 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald Wood Empty. It's probably how much it weighed.
That's a good comparison, Kyle, just to show the vast size and
yeah.
The tidal wave that it created in the mainstream media too is also very comparable to the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
I think that's just my 2 cents. So
yeah, just one of them standing still today. So, are we ready to move into it? Fun fact: does anybody know where the name GoldenEye came from? Kyle, I'm thinking you probably know this.
No.
So it's actually Ian Fleming's house in Jamaica.
Oh, that's right, in Jamaica. Yeah.
But it's named after an assignment he was on.
He's still alive, right?
I don't think so. I think he died a long time ago. I doubt he's still alive.
Was he on the boat that fateful night?
On November 10th?
Yeah, 1975, Lake Superior, Edmund Fitzgerald. Wasn't he an engineer?
That's right, he was.
Yeah.
He was an engineer.
He went from writer to Hollywood, film. Chase can't even take it. He can't even deal with it.
It's gonna continue.
He ended up in Superior, Wisconsin for his final days, and he was on that fateful voyage. What a life! What a life! He might have compared him to an actual modern day James Bond for the time. So,
Agreed.
Oh man, mission failed. Am I right?
well, he did die. So.
Oh, I thought you were looking. Did you look that up?
He died in 1964. He was only 56.
Yeah,
only 56.
He didn't even make it to Fitzgerald.
He missed that opportunity. It would have happened, but
But
he
it was,
would have been there.
yep.
all right. So let's go ahead and get started and do the blow by blow of GoldenEye. Andrew, where does this movie take place and where does it start? It actually starts with a really famous scene.
They're at the Archangel Chemical Facility in the USSR. I think they're flying in, right? Aren't they in like a helicopter? Or
He
like
flies in some kind of little, like, actually, does he fly in or do we just get it? No. It just opens up to him.
Yeah,
walking
they're
along
just
the-
like they're like on a bridge or something. Yeah, they're no, he's on the dam. He like
He's running along the dam,
Yep.
and he gets to the spot on the dam. He just kind of hops over the rail,
grapples down.
hooks himself in, and he fucking bungee jumps down. It's one of the most famous.
It's the
opening.
It's the furthest bungee jump stunt ever recorded on film.
That's cool.
Wow.
And the guy almost missed his mark and died too.
Would have been a shame.
Like those.
Poor souls at the bottom of Superior.
But yeah, that's a really famous scene. It opens up with him diving through, and then I think we get like the opening credits, which is a famous voice you'll recognize.
Tina Turner.
Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Written by Bono.
God,
GoldenEye.
what a combo. Did you all like the PowerPoint presentation font they used too? It was so 90s. It was so dated.
very 90s moments in this movie.
I love this opening, honestly, because, I mean, movies just don't open like that anymore. Movies just have these boring credits and then they just go straight into it. I know some people are like, well, we don't need that, but I kind of miss those, the openings being as cinematic as they are.
I'm going to challenge you on that and say I miss good openings, because there are many James Bond movies that open up with some very bad songs and very bad openings as well.
There are some that are truly amazing, though.
Yeah.
It's hit or miss.
Well, and any of the Sean Connery ones are going to be good. Like You Only Live Twice, Russia with Love is, I think, Frank Sinatra. There are some really really good.
Thunderball is one that
Skyfall is great.
Always sticks out to me. Like that.
You only live. All right. Tomorrow Never Dies is good. There's some.
Spectre was good from what I remember too.
Spectre.
So
Tina Turner's a legend, though.
Oh yeah, she is.
I didn't hate it, but I also haven't seen the other ones too, so I'll hold my judgment till the end.
Yeah. Why don't you do that, Chase? Why don't you not talk?
But did you know that the gun barrel scene of this is CG? All the other ones, they use the practical gun barrel, and everyone at home knows what I'm talking about. The iconic shot of every James Bond movie where the scope of the gun finds him, and then he shoots it, and blood runs down, and then you get your opening credits. Well, this one is actually done in CG. I did not know that as I was watching it.
Fascinating.
But what happens next, Andrew? Where are we? What's going on? What opens this movie after the big jump?
Well, he grapples down the massive dam, and if it wasn't for the USSR Archangel Chemical Facility tagline, I would have thought they were in Hoover Dam or somewhere, because I don't know of many large dams in the world. But it's a massive dam. He gets down to the very bottom, and then he shoots off his little grappling hook somewhere, and I don't remember what he does. He gets into some sort of...
he gets into like a station shaft, and he...
Yeah. There was some shaft that he wedged his way into, and then... You know, they're running through this facility, if you will. It's a Soviet facility. It's him and his buddy. Is it Alec? Is that his name?
I think so.
Anyways, it's Sean. It's Sean Bean.
Yeah, it's Sean.
He's 06. But one of the they're in all black. Obviously, they stand out. But their first encounter, he's in like they're climbing through like vents in the ceiling, and he takes.
They're infiltrating this like Russian.
It's a Russian lab,
like
some chemical lab.
Yeah, they make it well known that it's Russian, which is weird. This movie comes out at a very strange time, and I think it's important to say that now.
It's after the Cold War.
It's after the Cold War. It's after the fall of the Berlin Wall. So when this movie comes out, we're looking at a different political climate.
Mikhail Gorbachev tore down that wall.
Yeah, and this is the first Bond movie to film in Russia.
They actually
filmed
in
in St. Petersburg.
I'm surprised Russia allowed that.
They almost didn't. So they got the permission to film there, and then they went. I think they just went where they weren't supposed to, and the Russian army showed up.
Oh hell yeah!
And almost like extradited them out of the country and canceled their filming permits. But like cooler heads prevailed. But yeah, they filmed in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, they wanted the money because they didn't have any fucking money. The Soviet Union just collapsed.
You lost the Cold War.
Yeah. Well, among a great string of losses for the Russians that continue to this day.
R.I.P. But anyways, James Bond makes his first presence known by kind of like Spider-Manning down from that bathroom vent while some Russian comrades taking a shit and reading the paper on the toilet.
There's a lot of like little funny comedy moments in these that I just thoroughly enjoy.
And then it kind of just escalates from there. But I don't exactly remember what the penultimate, or they get into some.
They're into the actual like chemical plant. They're placing charges to blow up everything.
That's right. Yeah.
And, they know they're there because Sean Bean sets off an alarm by accident, and he's like, "Okay, well, we got to get this shit together." So they start placing charges on stuff, and you see Sean Bean placing charges, and then you see Pierce placing some charges, and then Pierce is like, "Back door's open. It's getting drafty, Alec." And then he doesn't have a response, and then he goes and looks, and Alec is like on his knees with a gun pointed against his head, with all of the Russians out in front of him. And he's like, "You got like a couple seconds to come out, or I'm going to kill him." So Pierce Brosnan comes out, and he just speeds up his count. And Pierce Brosnan's out there, he just fucking shoots him right in the face.
Yeah, he goes back to the detonator and like trims like 2 minutes off the detonation time.
No, it was 6 minutes,
but it was only 3.
Yeah,
that's going to be big later on.
Yes, that does come into play like later in the movie. But then they shoot him and kill Sean Bean. Kill Sean Bean. And then
Sean Bean
all
never
hell
dies.
breaks.
What are you talking about?
All hell breaks loose at that point. And then basically 007 gets out alive and blows up the plant. And that's kind of...
How does he get out alive, though? He's running down a runway. He gets out into the runway, and there's a plane that's just taking off, like it's just taking off.
Randomly
and there's
a dam.
He either shoots somebody or gets somebody off of one of the motorbikes they're on, gets on the motorbike, follows the plane, at which point everybody stops chasing them. They're like, it's a cliff they're going off of, so why the fuck let him kill himself? He follows the plane off the cliff, jumps off the cliff, skydives into the plane, and with like 40 feet left until he hits the ground, he somehow miraculously pulls the plane nosedive, and then we go to the bum 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 bum, and it's GoldenEye.
Do you think that was realistic, guys? Do you think that anyone could have just pulled that off?
I talked about that when I was watching with Erica last night. Maybe not in that scenario, no, but like
that poor pregnant woman had to listen to you talk about this all night.
No, she was the one who brought it up. I didn't say shit. She was like, "That's not realistic." I was like, "Yeah, not in that situation, but I could see where if there was like a taller cliff or something, like maybe, but not right there." He had like 40, 50, 100 feet left until he like was mangled mess on the bottom of a fucking valley floor.
Yeah,
and he just all of a sudden pulls it. Like, no, but like there are other James Bonds that we're gonna watch that are just so graphically and insultingly unrealistic that this is a better one, I would say.
Guess so. And think about how unrealistic and crazy that was. Think about they almost got John Woo to direct this.
Whoa!
And he turned it down.
Should I know who John Woo is?
He's the legendary Hong Kong action movie director. There would have been, everyone would be dual wielding and flying off motorcycles into helicopters. It would have been crazy.
But alas, that's what we got to get Pierce Brosnan out of that situation. Wonderful, love it, amazing. We go through our credit sequence, one of the better credit sequences there is, and also there are, again, like PG-13, yes, but a lot of these Bond movies in the beginning, like they just do essentially tasteful body paint on some of the dancing women. So there's a little bit of nudity in the beginning of these that's just like, well, it's body paint, so it's art, so we're not going to call it anything. But it's like, yeah, whatever.
It's very erotic and seductive kind of thing.
Yeah, the newer ones less so, I think. The older ones very much so, especially in the 90s. But we come out of the credits with, Tina Turner fucking slaps. It's a great song.
She was alive at that point.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Unlike the people in the Edmund Fitzgerald who are resting at the bottom of the lake.
50 years ago today,
Yep. R.I.P.
After we come out of Tina Turner's beautiful, sultry voice, where do we go next, Kyle?
Well, now we're barreling through the canyons of, I believe, Monaco, it looks like.
Yeah, it's French Riviera.
Yeah, so Monaco. Andrew,
Yep, French Riviera.
And Bond's
your own feces.
And Bond's with this girl, and is that like his girlfriend? His
No,
date?
she's a psychiatrist who's doing like a study on him.
Okay, I must have missed that because she was such a throwaway character. I didn't care. Like,
hey, back to the test, lit on fire. Who cares?
But she was sanctioned by M to do a
and we have a new M too in this that we'll talk about.
A famous M, but
essentially we get to the point where he's in the car with her and he's trying to impress her. Whatever. She's like, "Oh my God, why are we driving so fast?" But I love you.
And these aren't roads that you can really go that fast on, Kyle. He would have flown off. He would have flown off.
You would have been dead.
Yeah.
These are like jackknife curves, gravel road kind of shit in the shoulder. Like, yeah.
Very sharp switchbacks. But go ahead. Yes.
Some really bad 90s like music, like a
yes, thank you. I noticed that it was like all MIDI tracks.
Like Steinfeld.
So bad.
Yeah, and that's actually a thing I wanted to talk about too. So I'm glad you brought it up. They brought in a new composer for it who brought in a bunch of synth wave and was doing modern kind of tracks on it. And I think the music in this movie, other than the St. Petersburg chase scene, which they brought in someone else completely after a test audience said the music sucked in this movie. They brought him in to do that chase scene, and he kind of brought it back to the, because Bond is about strings and like orchestral type of music. This music kind of sucked. I'm sorry.
He should be punished for that.
As someone who hasn't seen a lot of Bond films, I know how the music sets the scene and the tone of the film. This one did not do it for me.
I would trade the 29 Parish Souls that capsized in Lake Superior in 75 for this man. I would trade spots. I would have them trade spots.
Are you talking about the...
I think it was a woman.
Whatever. I would make them trade spots with her. She deserves that. So, for that scene specifically.
Do we have a count? Do we have a running count? Is anyone back at home listening to this podcast episode have a running count of how many Edmund Fitzgerald jokes we've made?
This is natural. Let's not bring more attention to it. It's just going to keep...
It's not natural. It
is. You are ruining a good moment. Anyways, moving on. Kyle, when he's cruising through these switchbacks dangerously, this is when we meet a pivotal character who pulls up in a red car. I don't know what car that is. You could probably name it.
It's a red Ferrari. I believe it's a Medina. I'm going to have to look it up before I talk out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure it's a Medina.
Okay.
Like the first generation of it. Beautiful car.
Yeah, what?
But Xenia Onatopp is the driver, and she is a classic James Bond femme fatale. And she is just bad news like the entire time. Like, no, sometimes in the movies, like she's like these femme fatales are like, oh, he's working there. Oh, but she double crosses him. Oh no, they're together, but now they're not. Oh, they're together. She died. She's just bad the whole time. He didn't even get with her. And like most of the time that happens, it's just she just is like a murderous spider. She's really bad.
She's aggressive.
She's very aggressive. She is chasing him kind of in the Ferrari, and he's like, again, she's driving a Ferrari, he's driving an Aston Martin DB7. It's a classic Aston Martin, very beautiful car, probably quite outmatched by that Ferrari. So the fact that they're like keeping up with each other is kind of funny, I believe, but whatever. And he outsmarts her, and she kind of spirals off out into the gravel pit and doesn't like careen off a cliff somehow. And this is stops the car. And he stops the car because she's like, stop the car, have lunch. He stops the car and he looks at her and he's like, gets like within inches of her face and he's like, sweet talking her. He opens up his glove box, and what's in the glove box, y'all?
Champagne?
Bollinger. Just opens it up and she's like, James, you come.
This is right before, though, they almost run into a bunch of bikers, which I thought was funny.
They could have just done it and then just...
Yeah. But it was funny how they all like were so taken off guard by these cars zooming by them on these windy roads that
very narrow roads.
Very narrow. It caught them so off guard that the one fell and there was a domino effect with all of the bikers. It was so cheesy and dumb. But I enjoyed it.
I do enjoy the fact that we have these like tense moments and then all of a sudden slapstick comedy just like right over your face.
Yeah.
But anyway, they ended up at a casino there where you come moving quickly along, where we meet Onatopp and Bond at the casino themselves, and they're gambling against each other at this point, and he takes an interest to her, but she also takes an interest to him. And she sets herself up as a very powerful woman.
She like competes with him, but he gets the better of her in the driving, ultimately. He gets the better of her in gambling, ultimately. And we'll get there, no spoiler, but he ultimately gets the better of her in general.
Right.
In fact, he gets the last squeeze.
What they play it up to is her confidence is kind of her undoing, where she gets too arrogant. And even though James Bond is an arrogant, charismatic individual, he always stays level. And he does that when they're at the casino. He gets a drink, and me and Kyle talked about this last episode, Andrew. I'm curious if you know this, but he gets every drink shaken, not stirred. That is a common phrase that Bond says. Do you know why?
He's on blood thinners. I don't know.
Yes, he's on blood thinners. No, the reason being is because when you shake an alcoholic beverage, you dilute the alcohol in it. So anytime that he gets a drink shaken, not stirred, it's less alcoholic, so he can keep his edge and wits about him.
Oh.
It's actually a really clever written plot point.
So he's buzzed but not belligerent.
Right, exactly. He's not throwing up in the toilet.
His dick is still going to work.
He can still drive.
He's on blood thinners.
You're right. Never mind.
So, Kyle, what happens next?
They part ways, and he kind of tracks her to this boat with this admiral that she leaves with.
Who's Canadian.
And Yeah, and the admiral and her go to the yacht, and then it's just a scene of them in bed together, and she is like scratching him, and he's like, "Yeah, I like it. This is what's fun."
She's a real
And then,
dominatrix type.
Yeah,
I
and he's
know.
all about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like,
and
torture
he
me.
and then she flips the script on him, and then takes her ankles together, wraps her legs around his chest, and just squeezes as hard as she could. She must have adductors of steel because she just squeezes the life out of him.
Yeah, it's actually pretty gruesome to
Mhm.
watch. Like it's very unsettling, and this is where the MPAA came in. It does toe the line between seductive and sadism there. Yeah, abductors of steel. We'll just leave it there. But anyway, she kills him. Why does she kill him, Kyle?
Because she wants to essentially impersonate him to steal a prototype helicopter, the Tiger helicopter, which is a real helicopter. I don't know if they're calling it a different name, but it was essentially a NATO helicopter that was the NATO version of the Apache helicopter, but it was more stealth focused, a little bit smaller, still had around the same munitions, but it was impervious to, or supposed to be impervious to, or resistant to EMP or nuclear attacks in the way of when a nuclear bomb gets detonated, it releases an electromagnetical pulse that fries most electrical circuits around it in a certain radius. So those aircraft could still operate in contested environments that had been struck by EMPs, which we'll come back to later.
Right. And I think she got his access card at this point.
Right.
So she
And then they go onto this ship the next day, and they get the access code. There's two pilots that are going up to do this demonstration, and she catches them wearing lingerie.
And she's joined at this point by a masked individual that we don't know his identity, which we'll find out in a few minutes who it is. But someone with a masked identity joins her, and they take out the pilots, and then they commandeer the helicopter and basically just steal it right out from under NATO's nose.
Yep.
And Bond was there the whole time because he had an idea that it was going to happen, but he's too late to the ball game to stop it. And he ends up getting tackled by security.
And they almost kill him. Hold a gun to
I
his
think they
head.
did. I think they did.
Oh, that's where the movie ends.
Because the movie starts with Timothy Dalton as
You're
Bond.
right. Yep. Anyways, they steal this Tiger helicopter and they fly off.
Right, and then we cut, and we're at a Russian number station, basically, but it's a hidden, what would you call this, cybersecurity hacker?
It's like, it is definitely like a hack, like somewhere where they can put people to use, not telling them exactly what they're doing and compartmentalizing something. It's very top secret. Like,
it's Russian counterintelligence is what it amounts to, and it's like it's not known by the U.S. or anything.
In the middle
so
of
it's
like Siberia.
very secret.
Very just out in the desolate
Because I think
branches
they
of
have.
Russia.
We're introduced to Boris and another protagonist. What was her name again? I'm trying to remember.
I thought it was Natalia.
Natalia, and so she's talking to Boris, and Boris is trying to hack the U.S. Pentagon. That's one of his missions in it, and then the FBI office in Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out to Atlanta.
Hey, whoa!
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So you can kind of see that they're trying to hack into other governments and whatnot, which is, Russia. And then all of a sudden the helicopter lands, right? And Onatop gets off, and now we're introduced to the guy that's coming off the helicopter. Who is that, Andrew?
Umarov, I believe, right?
He is a
General?
Russian general, yeah. And so he walks in with Onatop, and what do, Kyle?
They go in there and like, we're doing a test in the GoldenEye system. We want to see how ready you are. And they're like, oh, bet. Yes, sir. And they go and grab the GoldenEye system, which is essentially this just like over the top art department bullshit, like square looking key with a golden thing in the middle of it. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, it's very cinematic. It would not work that way in real life.
But alas, here we are. We're getting out of that era of James Bond where things are like gaudy and ostentatious to more realistic, but whatever. So they get it. They bring it out with him with the two keys, and they give him the two keys, and he goes right on time. And Xenia Onatop goes right behind him, racks her AK, her crink, and she goes over and just murders everyone in the place. Every single person, except for Boris, who took a smoke break conveniently, and Natalia, who went into the office to get coffee, who's hearing this, and then she hides. So they think they have everybody. They get the GoldenEye system. They activate it, and they point it at this installation that they're at. NATO, or not NATO, but the Russians get alerted to it. They send their MiG fighters, their MiG-29 Fulcrums, out to the installation, and the installation gets hit by the EMP at that point, which is the GoldenEye system.
Which the EMP sends out a shock wave into Lake Superior, and
yeah, that's what happened to the Edmund Fitzgerald, folks.
Causes the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Wild.
Yes, nice job, Chase.
This did take place in 75. So.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good,
but it send off an EMP basically, and it fries everything in the area. I don't know, how far did they say how far that EMP blast went?
They said like a 30-mile radius.
30 miles, but it's in the middle of nowhere, so it doesn't really affect anything other than that.
The base.
It goes off the map, so
and blew the shit out of those MiGs too, like basically fried their system.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like again, some of the stuff that happens there. Not realistic, but we're going to gloss over it because there are much worse James Bonds that we'll get into. That
and this was the biggest problem I had. Those MiGs flew past that base, but somehow they both ended up crashing into the base, which didn't make any sense.
One of them hit off the other one. They couldn't get. He was like, you could hear him hitting the top of the thing, like his ejector seat wouldn't work. But like if that were to happen, they wouldn't just continue. They would just fall out of the sky. Like one of them blew up. Like, that wouldn't happen. They would just all of a sudden everything.
Well, and like they would have crashed miles away from the base itself, because like when they hit each other, they just immediately flew into the base that they'd already flown past. It didn't make.
Yeah, those are going quite fast, and like they could probably cover a half mile in like a couple seconds.
Yeah, I was ready for this James Bond movie to be. I going in not knowing much about Bond, I was like, oh, it's going to be like wild and off the wall, and so far we're getting a little bit of that, and I think it tames itself after this, which I really commend for the series. It's not that crazy after this, but this one was one of the ones that I was like, it's stupid, but it's stupid fun. You know, it's fun to watch two MiGs run into each other and then explode and blow up an entire base. Who doesn't love that?
Shut up. I don't love that, Chase. You know why I don't love that? Because it perpetuates stereotypes of toxic masculinity. Just kidding.
Well, anyways, go ahead, Kyle.
Well, at this point, like we're gonna have to. We're not gonna be able to go ping pong back and forth like the movie does. But essentially,
we set it up. Yeah.
She survives. She hides out. She survives. She's the lone survivor aside from
Boris.
But Boris,
Alan Cumming,
we're gonna find out, is not all he seems to be. But if we go back to MI5, they're in a situation room watching what's happening, and they're like, this is where we get introduced to Judi Dench, because the guy's, the evil queen of numbers won't let you play it out, and he goes, and she's right behind him, and she's like, I'm a woman, but I don't care if I send you to your death. Ha! So they kind of, what?
It's just so funny.
That's what she's doing. That's what
I mean, you have Moneypenny and M at this point, and
he hits on Moneypenny so hard. Like
Moneypenny just like doesn't give a flying fuck. She's like, as far as I'm concerned, James, you've never had me. Which is like classic, amazing, like turn of the century. Like
there's some real strong female characters in this, especially and like M, like who is played by
Dame Judi Dench.
Yes, the one and only, and by far my favorite M out of all.
Oh, easily.
She steals the scene in this movie. Like,
I mean, she's a legendary actor.
Absolutely,
like,
one of the
best.
kind.
This was before she won the Oscar, I think.
Yeah,
too.
It was
for GoldenEye. I remember that.
Yeah, so she was still like she still hadn't won all of her acclaimed awards, but she was just incredible and just flawless in this. I will say one mistake she makes is she offers James Bond a drink as they're like trying to discuss the recent activities, and she goes, I always prefer bourbon myself, and then she pours Jack Daniels,
which technically Jack Daniels is technically bourbon.
It's 84 proof. It can't be bourbon.
It is bourbon.
It's dumb.
By federal law, it is bourbon. By the way,
we're not going to go down this road. It is corn
piss.
mash bullshit.
It's piss. They could have done something more elegant, like E.H. Colonel Taylor, or even just like Woodford.
Yeah, I mean, like instead of like something like your great grandfather would drink out of his own trailer.
Jeff the Creed, give me something, son.
Something.
Don't care for Jeff the Creed. Sorry for those who work there, but yeah, he was like, I believe my old boss had some Hennessy or cognac or something somewhere.
Cognac.
Some Jim Beam.
Yeah.
Bourbon.
And then
he gets into this whole thing with him about like, I think you're a misogynistic dinosaur and you think I'm all about the numbers and don't know what I'm talking about, but I don't fucking care if I send you to your death. But she was, at the end of it, she goes like, oh, Bond, do come back a So you're like, oh, she cares about him. Oh my god,
She
They're
doesn't
best
want
friends.
him to die.
It's like a mutual respect. It's kind of like, I'm doing my job, you're doing your job. Let's not get in each other's way. It's really a well-written scene between two characters that kind of don't see eye to eye, but know how to put all that together. I mean, it's very realistic for a government agency.
Yeah,
100%.
So they basically prep Bond and tell him, like, hey, this is what happened. The EMP went off, GoldenEye, and they were like, we didn't know about this Russian base. It's hidden from us. And he's like, I don't think anybody made it out alive. And then they look down on the radar and they see a silhouette of someone running through the forest. And he's like,
Yep.
looks like somebody did make it out alive. And basically that's Natalia. And she's, so that he knows somebody's there. And he's like, our answer lies with her or him or whatever. I don't think that they knew it was a woman at the time. But, and then now he goes, what, isn't this the scene where he goes to the lab to get prepped with all
talks
this
with
stuff?
Q, who's some
I always
old,
love the Q stuff. Yeah.
He's an old guy. I didn't expect Q to be that old, just because the only Q that I really remember is the one from the most recent series, and he was some young dorky nerd, if you will. So,
but it's just so funny. He's like telling him, he's like, here's your BMW. It's got missiles in it. Like, he's prepping him on all the stuff. He shows him a pin, right, Kyle? How many times do you click the pin?
15 times.
Four times, and then you have like a 3-second buffer before you click it again. Or no, 3 times, and then you have a 3-second buffer. Something dumb like that.
You can click the pin 3 times. You got, I think, like you said, a buffer, and then you click it 3 more times to disarm it, and it's basically a grenade. And what's funny is he demonstrates it and puts the pin in a little mannequin's pocket, and it blows the mannequin up. And it's like a very mild explosive. We'll come back to that when they actually use the pin, because immediately when he hands him that pin, he's like, this is going to come into play later. And Bond goes to pick up a sandwich, and he's like, don't touch that.
That's my lunch.
And I was like, that cracked me up.
It was a foot long.
Yeah, it looked like a Subway.
Subway foot long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked good, though.
That whole time he was like, that's like the old James Bonds from the 70s. Not necessarily the 60s. The 60s were a little more grounded, but the 70s, the silly, wacky shit with Roger Moore, that's when that kind of finally starts dying off, but not before this movie. It's still very much like wacky Q. We're in a phone booth, and all of a sudden the bareback is. It's like.
Can you do that again?
It's fucking really, like, to me, as a kid, loved it. Thought it was hilarious. Now, it doesn't really. That movie, there's a couple points in this movie where things just don't fit together, and this is one of them. But I do love Q, and I do love the whole aspect of that. I just think it's so wacky. It took me out a second.
It did take me out a little bit, but I also appreciated it. It was some old school British comedy, and I thoroughly enjoy that. It made me laugh. And like I said, I understand that there's like a level to Bond. You expect a Bond movie to have that kind of level of comedy to it, or at least the ones that I understand are good. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, Kyle. You grew up with them.
I think it might just be you.
But anyway, what happens to Bond now that he's got all of his equipment?
They get to Moscow. He gets to Moscow, and he has to meet
He
CIA,
meets, yeah.
and they have this whole interaction where he doesn't say the right thing to James Bond. And he goes over to his car, and he like puts him against the car with his gun. And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Show me the tattoo." And he's like, "Please, no." And it's like, "Show me the tattoo." And it's like, he pulls down his pants to his little butt cheek, and it's just a heart with Muffy. And he goes like, "It's my third wife." He's like, "All right, well, now we're good to go." So now that I've seen part of your ass.
Wait, can you explain the Muffy thing and Rose thing to me exactly? Like what?
It was a tattoo of his third wife. It was just an identifying characteristic.
Yeah, and Bond.
And
Gotcha.
he was like,
Okay.
he just used to make sure to verify he is who he says he is.
Right, and he's what, CIA or FBI?
Yep. Yeah.
So he's CIA, and he's basically helping Bond, but disavowing his intelligence. And so he's like, if you get in trouble, like, I was never here, and the U.S. government didn't help you at all. He's just an informant at this point. He's just telling him all the stuff that they know about the base, what they know about GoldenEye from years of intelligence, and kind of just prepping him. He's a really funny character, too.
He is, and he died this May. So R.I.P.
Really?
R.I.P.
Good.
But yeah, great guy.
A great guy.
Great character.
So after Bond meets with him, what happens next, Kyle?
So now we go. He's trying to meet with an informant. I can't remember the guy's name, but we're going to come to a really cool moment that I had watching this last night when I was like, "Oh shit, that's who that is." He's like, "I need to go see this guy," and the CIA liaison's, "What do you mean? Like nobody goes in there, like, or like he doesn't say that. He's like, we're talking about the same person. He's like, he does this. He's a big guy. He walks in the limp. You don't want to go mess with him. He's whatever. He's like, well, I was the one who gave him the limp. You're like, oh, James is a hard guy. We go to this Russian bar where there's like a karaoke going on. It's definitely Russian mafia happening, something Russian mafia. And who was the guy, Andrew? Who was the man?
Robbie Coltrane, aka Rubius Hagrid, aka he did other things, but that's how I know him the most.
Yes,
good old
pretty
Robbie
cool.
Coltrane.
But he did a great job playing this Russian. This is also a character that comes back in The World Is Not Enough, another 2 movies. So he's definitely like a bigger character for this like Russian scene. And they have this whole interaction. Like he's like, oh my gosh, you need a favor from me? How about I fucking like kill you because you gave me a limp? My knee hurts every single day in the Russian winter. And the Russian winters are cold. Tell him, Dmitri. He's like, well, actually, it depends. He goes, silence! And I lost my shit. I thought that was fucking hilarious. But again, it took me out of it. But like, at least they're following a theme. Long story short, we get some information that we need out of him, which I can't remember what the information was. I don't remember what he was looking for exactly.
Something.
Oh, he was looking for a Cossack, Yanis or something, and he finds out some information on him.
Yes. And then in the meantime, too, isn't Natalia like running around trying to find a server or connection? Like she goes to a computer shop and she's able to like, because she is a hacker, she's able to like get in contact with Boris at this point.
She goes to some like
it's just a computer shop. And tells him like, I'm a teacher. I need this many computers with this kind of power and processing.
And I need some privacy. Leave me alone so I can,
So she establishes connection with Boris, and we understand basically to let us know that Boris is still alive and he's kind of shut in somewhere. And also going on at the same time, the Russian government is meeting about the GoldenEye going off, and they're trying to figure out what's going on there. And the general's like trying to play both sides of the fence because obviously he's a traitor and he stole GoldenEye, and they put him in charge of figuring out who it is. And he's like, yeah, I know nobody's alive. And he's like, are you sure about that? These 2 people were not found among the bodies. And you can see the fear in his eyes because he knows he has loose ends running around.
Oh, very, very loose.
Very loose.
Incredibly
Definitely
loose.
thought everybody died. We did not.
Yeah, and so like
loose like the main hatchways from 50 years
which
ago.
I love the way that they have this interaction too, because the government is like on him, is like, how do you not know? You're supposed to be the general. You're supposed to know and account for all those people in those bodies. And they're starting to raise a couple eyebrows to that. And he says, I will find them and I will. And first he tries to resign first.
And they're like, no.
You don't get to resign. You have to finish this case out.
We got to figure some more shit out before you can just casually step away here, Omarov.
Yeah, so we're setting up the puzzle pieces here. And doesn't James Bond, he ends up with Onatopp, right? In a bathhouse? Is that what's next?
Yes.
I think so,
I'm
because
pretty
he's
sure.
got to capture Natalia, and he's like swimming. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is after that because he hasn't met her yet.
No,
right?
he doesn't meet Natalia until after.
Yes, right. Because he gets a hold of her, and then he's like, no. Like, because they have this whole battle in the bathroom, and it's very hypersexualized and fucking weird.
This whole fight scene, too, it's like kind of a sex fight. And I was, and this
she's like trying to accost him.
Right. She's trying to squeeze him to death, and she's laughing the whole time. And I was like, she's like wrapped around his waist, squeezing him. And I was just like, just punch her in the face. Like,
yeah, just fucking like throttle her throat. Like,
yeah, and he doesn't. He just like, he grabs onto her legs. He tries to pull her legs off. I was like, her face is right there. Just a couple of haymakers to her face. She's going to let go. And he doesn't. And so it's just it's the dumbest fight. Yeah, I think. And then
but he gets the better of her, and then she leads him to the place where he's going to find the Yanis guy.
Yes.
And
yeah, because they keep talking about Giannis as this leader, and this like, because basically it's a third-party militia leader that's going to lead a revolution in Russia, and that's who they keep talking about. So yeah, you're right. Onatopp leads him to this like facility where he's going to meet Giannis. And I love this scene because he has a gun on the top and she's driving the car. And then as soon as she parks, he just like whacks her over the top of the head and she just immediately face plants the steering wheel and goes unconscious.
It was great.
It's one of my favorite scenes.
And it was deserved because she's a horrible person, clearly.
Yeah, she is. She was a bitch, but...
Whoa, hey, this movie's already sexist enough. Let's not use that kind of language.
All right, she's what would you like me to call her? Like a gutter slut?
That's a good one.
That's better. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
All right, yeah, we'll take the sexist out of it and call her a gutter slut. So he ends up entering the facility, and lo and behold, guess who Giannis is, Andrew?
It's Richard Kind.
Yes.
Yeah, Sean Bean.
Sean Bean. Not Richard Kind. That'd be funny if Richard Kind was in this.
It would be.
He could be, I don't know who he would be, but he could find a role. But yeah, it's fucking Sean Bean, and we learned that he was a double agent from the start.
Yeah, he was playing both sides of the system, and all because he just kind of is jealous, really, of.
And he's a Cossack.
Yeah,
His family was betrayed by both the British government and the Russians at the end of World War II, and he's just riddled with revenge and
just
anger.
angst, and he's trying to set them up against each other, and it's kind of like as much setup as we've had at this point. It is a very blah kind of villainous,
I will say,
role.
When they showed Sean Bean getting shot in the head at the beginning, I knew that wasn't. We all knew.
Yeah, you don't get Sean Bean for that movie just to execute him within 3 minutes of the movie.
You know a couple of things. He's going to have a heel turn. He's going to come back, have a heel turn, and
and I think they shot him in the chest.
They shot him with a Makarov at like point blank range in the area of his upper torso, let's say. But it seems like it definitely went in through his cheek and out through his other cheek because his face is all fucked up.
Yeah.
Now that was the chemicals that were lit on fire and exploded that burned his face, because we learn at this moment they're having conversations. Him and Alec and James are catching up, and he's like, "You said 6 minutes, but really it was 3, and that's why you see these scars."
Yeah,
and
it's like,
was.
well, we didn't know you were a double agent, you prick.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't predict.
So he ends up capturing Bond. I forgot how he does. I think they just basically ambush him. And what happens next, Kyle? They actually put him in a helicopter, right? He wakes up in a helicopter.
The helicopter that they stole, that they were looking for. So there's that. And he wakes up to the screaming woman behind him, who is Natalia, going, "Wake up, mister! Wake up, mister!" And he's like, "Oh shit, we gotta get out of here!" And he can't get out. He accidentally well, first of all, a couple things. There's like a timer going. That's it, not like external to the actual helicopter. It's like internal with the computers or whatever.
Yeah,
like the flight control system or whatever, or the weapon system. And as far as I know, there is no why would you put something on a countdown for a missile system that will require an instant lock on that you want to fire immediately?
Why would you not, Kyle?
Need that.
And Kyle, answer this for me too. So it's basically this elaborate setup where he's tied him into this helicopter. Instead of just shooting them and killing them, it's got to be.
Yeah. We're getting out of the old era of James Bond, which is I'm going to tell you the whole exposition, and then you'll have time to escape and kill me.
Yeah, this is. I think they did this as a nod to the old James Bond movies, where they had to put one of these in there because. Even if you don't know James Bond, everyone out there has watched Austin Powers or has watched the episode of The Simpsons or something. They're always parodying James Bond. It's always the villain. He's got some elaborate death trap set up that's also kind of elaborate but easy to escape because there's plenty of time to escape instead of just killing Bond and shooting him when he's unconscious. And so I think this is just kind of a nod to that. But they're in the helicopter, and what happens, Kyle? How do they get out of it?
He hits the eject button, and they
with
just
his head.
With his head, and they shoot up. And I don't know how the ejector seat works in those. If there is an ejection seat, in a lot of attack helicopters, there are. But essentially, the whole cabin just pops up out of the thing, and they get out just in time. It's just so elaborate. It would never work like that. Could that happen? Sure, but it would be. You would have to out of how many times would this happen essentially? Would this be a 1 out of 10 thing, 1 out of 5? It's not a sure way to go about it. It's clever. It's fun. It raises the stakes, but it's not very realistic. So they get out of there, and he gets out of the helicopter.
And you think that they're going to be fine, and then they're immediately captured by the Russian army.
And then they go to St. Petersburg. And then what happens next, Andrew?
Aren't they in like a holding facility or whatever?
Yep.
They're going to be questioned by the defense minister.
Who is questioning them, and then they end up giving up the name of the general, and he's like,
"Are you sure?"
Yeah, he's like, "I kind of knew it," and so then the general walks in and he confronts him, and then the general ends up killing that guy, and basically
the general kills the defense minister.
Yeah, and trying to set it up like Bond did it. So he calls in guards, and the guards come in, and they see that Bond's sitting like there with a gun because he's wrestling it away from the general. And now it's a sticky situation for Bond because now it looks like he killed the defense minister and that he did all this.
That's like someone killing Pete Hegseth.
Yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to put that out there. I wanted that reaction. Thank you.
So Bond ends up running out, like gunning down a lot of Russian army guards, dude, to make things worse, I guess, for himself. Not that he had a choice.
It's really funny. I would say the vast majority of the soldiers in this film, and probably other Bond movies, villains in general, they're like stormtroopers. They never hit. Like,
yeah, they're
bad.
There to die.
They're literally there to die.
And did you know that in every James Bond they have the same death animation where they fall to their knees?
I did not, but
there's at least somebody in every movie.
I'll look for that next one we watch.
So he shoots his way out, but they were able to capture Natalia at one point. I blinked and must have missed this.
Yeah, Amarov got her.
Yeah, and so gets her in a car, like has her hostage, and they're getting away. And how does James Bond catch up to them, Kyle?
Well, he gets in what would apparently we're led to believe be a T-62 tank. I don't think it is that. I'm going to look that up real quick.
I just love how he's hanging out the tank when it blows through the wall, and you just see him hanging out.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I know that some tanks you can, like, they have like a hatch for the driver to see it, so they can see like a clear view in like certain areas. The actual one they show his feet on the tank in the bottom. That seems to be pretty realistic because that's how most of them work. Is like you lock up one side of the track so you can make a sharp turn, or vice versa. It's very jerky.
But the fact that Bond was trained enough to drive a Russian tank, like, 'cause he's driving the hell out of it too.
What can't Bond do though? Like militarily speaking, or like covertly speaking, what can't he?
Can you imagine the amount of training that man had to have? So from the first 6 months of your training, we're just going to work on tank controls.
He's like a non-meathead version of like a Navy SEAL.
Okay, so it's not a T6, not a T-62 or 72. It's an older T-54 or T-55, both of them, which are very old tanks. They're beefy enough tanks. They were used in the Cold War. It passes. I'm sure that with the way Russia's getting its ass handed to it in Ukraine, that they're probably using some of these right now. I can almost promise you.
So where are we at now? He's got this tank.
So they go on this like huge chase scene throughout St. Petersburg, and Bond is just destroying St. Petersburg with this tank.
He drives through alleys and takes out like the bottom of buildings. He takes out statues and like town monuments.
People are diving out of the way.
He rolls over just like an ordinary like sedan, like absolutely crushes it.
There's a family of four in it.
The guy gets out of the driver's seat and was like, how is he not like flattened?
He got out of the driver's seat, but his like family was still in the passenger seat, so he wasn't able to save his family. And this is all thanks to Bond. No wonder Russia hates Britain. What's fun about this scene is they did film a lot of this movie in St. Petersburg, but they built an entire replica of St. Petersburg in a set in Britain just to run it over with a tank. And that's a real tank that they're using. So
yes, it's real. It's all real practical effects, all that shit.
And Pierce Brosnan actually drove the tank while filming.
I'm sure he was standing on it while someone drove.
I looked this up. He actually drove it.
This is real. You're not like...
I am dead serious.
I mean, what can't Bond do?
Right?
Other than save the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Those poor souls. Let's have a moment of silence. Anyway, so after this chase scene, what happens next, Kyle?
After this, she gets put on a Russian armored train, from like back in the day. They did use those. Fun fact: North Korea still uses those to this day, and by North Korea I mean Kim Jong Un. Piece of shit. And he somehow knows. I mean, like honestly, they're on train tracks, so there's only so many places they could go. But there's quite a myriad of different train tracks going out of that city, I would assume. So, pretty adept move on his part to find the exact train tracks that they're on. But he plays chicken with a massive train, shoots a shell into it, and it obviously just glances off. And he hops out of the tank. They collide, derails the train, and he gets in there with Sean Bean, the general, and Onatop with Natalia. And there's this whole interaction that he's like, "You can kill the girl; she means nothing to me." After he told her that he trusted her before, so there's this whole like, "How dare he?" Yeah, and then we get to a pretty interesting part. Remember, Andrew, how you were talking, or Chase, how we were talking about the amount of time that he gave Sean Bean at the beginning?
Yeah.
Now he gets away. Something happens. He gets away. He's like, "You're gonna have to choose between the girl or the mission," and he chooses the girl. So he shoots the general, kills the general who had to go up against the girl's head.
So General's gone now, and
General's gone now. But they get sectioned off in this train car, and there's like an explosive device in there. Sean Bean's like, "I'm going to give you the same 6 minutes you gave me." He's like, "We only have 3 minutes." So they got to figure out a way to get out of that train in 3 minutes. He takes his little, again, one of the more, I wish, but no, unrealistic parts of the movie.
Oh, Kyle.
What?
Just let it happen.
Shut up. Don't talk to me like that. Takes out his watch, and there's somehow a laser in it. But that laser watch is used quite a bit.
It's a staple of Bond. It is.
It's a pretty ubiquitous thing.
While he's using this laser watch, she is also hacking to find, because she's
trying to find the location. She realizes that Boris
is still
behind
alive.
the satellite creation or whatever. She's hacking. She is hacking.
So
the system.
she's hacking the system real fast to find the location of where they're going, to find out where they're using GoldenEye. And basically, he finds the hatch, and they both escape the train as it explodes.
But right before it explodes and they escape, they figure out that they're in Cuba.
Yeah,
the station's in Cuba.
So their next stop is their next stop is to have sex with each other, and that right, like that they get a hotel room or whatever.
Yeah, they have some soft, tender moments, and she's offended that he didn't care about. He said he didn't care about her in the previous moments.
My dear, you have to call their bluff.
Yeah.
So that basically they're getting into each other at this point, and then next thing you know, the U.S. CIA representatives helping them get to Cuba now.
Wade, is that his name?
Wade, I guess. I don't know, something like that. He talks like a Wade.
Sounds like he's from Tennessee or Texas.
Texas. He's for sure from Texas.
Texas.
Yeah. So they end up going to Cuba to try to find this research area. And the CIA agents is like, "We don't know of any secret Russian base here." And he's like, they end up finding out it's at a dam, right? Or no? What do they find out, Andrew?
Well, they don't find out anything until it just kind of like comes out of nowhere. They're flying over everything. They're like, "I don't see anything. What's happening? What's going on?" And I think they land. No, they crash. They have a really bad plane wreck. They get shot at. Who shoots at them? Kyle, do you remember who shoots? They're in the plane.
They're in the plane, and a SAM comes out of the middle of the lake.
Yeah, that's what it is. So
it like also does not behave how a surface to air missile should. It like impales the wing.
Yep. And they have
which is not how that works. Like those missiles like fire a shrapnel cloud or a high explosive that just eviscerates everything next to it. That would have just been blown out of the sky. They would have been killed immediately.
But they crash their plane, and it's bad. There's no reason that those two should be alive, if we're being honest. They crash into like the Cuban jungle, and they make it out unscathed. But Bond wakes up with his lady next to him. She's still passed out. He wakes up, and then who makes a surprise appearance? Not really much of a surprise, but
that's hot.
Yep, comes from a helicopter. She's with some other henchman or whatever. And, she attacks Bond like she did in that bathhouse a few scenes prior. tries to squeeze him to death. Again, weird sexual tension here. She wraps herself around his body and starts choking him with her legs, if you will. But this is actually a cool moment. I believe he wakes up. What's her name? What's his lover's name? I want to be respectful here. I don't want to call her lady or woman. What's her name?
Natalia?
Yeah, wakes up Natalia just for backup help. I don't know what happened to the other henchman. Maybe he got back into the helicopter somehow. I don't fucking know. But he notices like there is that rope from the helicopter that's attached to.
It's like the rappelling rope kind of thing. Yeah.
She has it, like attached to her backpack or something like that. But he takes it, unclips it, wraps it around her, then clips it. And as the helicopter, pulls up and away, it yanks her back, and she gets caught.
Because he starts shooting at the helicopter. So the guy's like trying to.
He's like, "What do I do?"
He's like trying to evasive maneuver, which honestly, I would love to see the R-rated version of this just to see how this death would have played out in real life. Because in real life,
it was kind of anticlimactic.
Basically, he pulls her into a tree.
Yeah, it was a crosshair of like a V-shaped tree that was just narrow enough for her body to get trapped, and she gets choked out by that rope and the helicopter trying to pull away.
Right, yeah, it just like squeezes her to death.
But really, that would have like ripped you apart.
It would have ripped her apart from limb to limb. Right, Kyle? I know you.
It would have like severed her body.
That harness that she would have been in was probably sturdy enough that it would have separated.
Yeah,
it would have cut her in half.
It would have done something pretty gruesome. Like she would have been, like the way that she was up there. Like I just hate it. Like I wanted to see something a little bit more, because like that helicopter weighs a lot, but also it has thrust. So that thrust is like taking the weight of that helicopter, as well as providing enough so they can lift off the ground.
How much do you think Onatopp weighs realistically? Like
maybe 140, 150 pounds.
Yeah. So basically, her weight is what's preventing the helicopter from flying off. 140, 150 pound woman is not going to stop a helicopter from flying off.
No.
Well, it would have either broken the tree or would have snapped her in half. And I think that we kind of
probably a little bit of both.
He would have been mangled beyond repair. Like you'd be missing a limb or like some kind of massive like trauma to your upper body. It's just like
because it was around her waist, right? So it would have it basically would have severed her in half.
No, it wasn't around her. It was around her waist. It was like the harness was around her upper body, torso, and waist, and possibly her legs too. That's usually how they work. So it would have wherever that helicopter is going, she is also going. The only thing that would have happened, she would have probably died before anything happened. But I think the first thing that would have given away would have been the clip that she was in.
Yeah.
But either way, for that to happen, even if you don't get like a limb severed or cut in half, you're going to have massive internal bleeding, broken bones. You're not going to survive that. There's no way. And it wouldn't have looked like that. She would have popped off that tree. So sorry, but that part does not hold up for me.
Yeah, I absolutely and I think that's just to keep the movie PG-13. Let's be honest. That would have been, if they made a rated R movie, you would have saw a gruesome death there. But that's just to keep it PG-13. But she's dead now. Onatopp is on bottom. And we're moving on. So they end up getting into the facility. Basically, this turns into a huge chase scene between Bond and Sean Bean. And then,
what happens is that facility pretty much comes out of the water, just kind of just like.
Which that place is a real place. It was an observatory. It's a telescope or like an electronic listening telescope to search for extraterrestrial life. Essentially, I believe that was maybe I don't want to say Venezuela. It was somewhere in South America.
We're in Cuba, Kyle, so maybe get your geography straight.
Your mouth.
But this thing rises up from that bay, and it's massive and monstrous. All the while, the water drains, so it makes this giant bowl with a crane in the sky, kind of. It's a big old behemoth of a station, but they get shot at because Bean now knows they're there, and they fall into the bowl. And before they get to the bottomless pit at the bottom, he catches onto the rail, grabs her, and then they climb down the little escape ladder and then make their way into the facility. And that is where we arrive to face-off.
It basically turns into a huge face-off. And then what comes into play, Kyle? We mentioned it earlier in the episode.
So they're down in the belly of the beast and Sean Bean's going over this whole like, you're an idiot, like I got you where I want you. Little does he know that James Bond has placed explosives everywhere, but he searches them and he grabs everything, including his pen.
Well, and he's talking about the exposition at this point too. Basically, he's just a criminal, or he's just like a bank robber, and that's what James Bond says.
So he was a Cossack, and like the Cossacks that turned on the Nazis with the British. The British were going to give them like nationality status or something, and then they didn't do that, and they sent them back to the Russians, I think, and the Russians just fucking murdered them. But somehow Sean Bean was an orphan. And they knew that he was an orphan of these Cossacks, but still chose to let him in the folds of MI6, which was like a glaring oversight. And that's why he's doing what he's doing, apparently. But he is, at the end of the day, just a criminal. That's what they kind of get at.
He's trying to use GoldenEye to shut down like the banking system so that he can steal money. It's a long exposition, and I'll cut most of it down to he is going after the bank money that the Cossacks deserve, or he felt like they deserve from what happened during World War II. So he's getting his money back. At the end of the day, it's all it's about is money. But, to anything, all evil is usually funneled through money.
Yep. So once we get that out of the way, like Natalia fucked up the servers. She's in the server room, so they can't. So she's sent GoldenEye into like a de-orbit. So like the satellite's crashing through the atmosphere, and he's trying to stop it, and he can't figure it out. He's like, I'm better than you. I can figure it out. And he's like, actually, I can't. What did you do to it? He was clicking the pen. What did you do? Where is it at? Pointing the pen.
And it's Boris, by the way, that's clicking the pen.
Yes, and he's like clicking the pen.
He's only doing it 2 at a time, though.
But then he does it 1, 2, 3 at a time, and Pierce Brosnan notices that, and then all of a sudden he flips it out of his hand, gets it down on the ground. They're like, what the fuck is going on? And then the explosions happen.
And the explosion is massive.
Big explosion. And this is where the chase scene that Andrew's talking about starts. Pierce Brosnan chases Sean Bean to the top of the mast from the telescope. It's a listening telescope, but gets to the top of there, and they're fighting on a ladder. It's like very like. I remember as a kid watching that, I was like, this is actually really scary.
He also had so many moments to kill James Bond in this little chase, like so many.
Couldn't make it happen.
Didn't make it happen.
Yeah, he could have done it earlier in the movie.
He could have shot him before they even got out in that ladder. Before they even
didn't have to give him the exposition. Could have just executed him there. Like, I mean, he had plenty of, but that's a James Bond movie.
They come to their final face-off at the bottom of this ladder, at the bottom of the rung of this satellite crane thing, and James Bond like headbutts him and throws him over. Before he falls, he grabs him by the ankles, and I think Alec says to him like, "For England, James," and Bond says, "No,
for the Edmund Fitzgerald."
Yes, for the good crew and ship of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
And he drops him into the Lake Superior.
Drops him to the depths of the icy ice water mansion.
No, but this fall that Sean Bean takes is,
I mean, his body would have splattered.
Falls like 5 stories. Yeah, I was going to say exactly what I said last night. Like, he would have been splattered on the ground.
And he bounces.
There would have been a thought left between his eyes.
He bounces and he's still alive. Like, no, dude, you would have died on impact.
Well, he's alive just long enough for the satellite basically to like crush him and fall apart on top of him. But he meets a grisly end because that fall was just, that was a long way, and
not as grisly of an end as our friend Boris. Because what happens to him, Chase?
Well, he was invincible, so he thought, but he gets out after he's recalibrated the satellite or whatever, and it's on track. It's not, but he comes out from the computers and just screams, "I'm invincible!" Blah, 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 blah. And there's another explosion, and he's frozen from whatever was in that
nitrous oxide,
nitrogen, or frozen carbon dioxide or something. Like
keep the mainframes cool.
Yeah,
and it ruptures, and he just gets frozen immediately
and probably died instantly.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, James and Natalia are dropped off in a field, and
they start to like kiss and begin to make love. And Natalia's like, "Should we do this here?" And James is like, "There isn't anyone within 25 miles of this field, I can assure you." And all of a sudden, Wade comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "Jimbo!" Or what was he call him? Was he called him Jimbo?
Just something like that,
yeah. I'm like, oh, shit, never mind. We shouldn't fool around. And he's like, I'm here with my Marines. And they all stand up because they're wearing, what's
Ghillie
that?
suits.
Ghillie suits. And they kind of like look at each other like, oh, that could have been bad. And
that's pretty much it.
It's pretty much it.
That sums up GoldenEye.
They stopped it from happening somewhere along that little chase and explosion scene.
And then the Marines stop something else from happening.
And Bond gets his girl and gets away.
Yep. Until the next time where he throws that girl to the side for the next girl. But anyway, that's GoldenEye. That about wraps it up. Andrew, let's start with you. What was your thoughts on GoldenEye? Is this your first Bond film? No, it's not. Like, is this your first outside the Daniel Craig movies?
Oh, no, I've seen From Russia with Love.
Okay.
I've seen Connery. I have not seen Roger Moore. I had seen bits and pieces of this one. That chase scene at the end, like on the little tightrope walk.
I remember
if you
Sean
will.
Bean's fall.
Yeah. But it'd been a long time since I'd like sat down. I mean, I'd never seen it in full, so this is my first full watch of it.
Yeah.
I went in expecting it to be entertaining because I figured it would be, and it was. It's not bad. It's not a bad movie by any means. Yeah, there's some stupid moments and some things that bothered me, like we talked about the MIDI scoring in that little drive sequence. And
Music did suck in this.
Of Monaco. The music in general was not that great. There's some things with like 90s like high-tech technology or things they try to make look high-tech that just falls flat because it's not. It's so dated. It's hard to make something look super futuristic and high-tech 30, 40 years ago. But all in all, it was entertaining. It's not some rousing work of art, but you get what you pay for with this.
Kyle, I'm going to save you for last, but no, I agree. And I kind of go into these movies. It's an action movie.
Yeah.
It's Bond. I kind of want some of the hokiness. I kind of want some of the campiness. I kind of want some of the slapstick. And I got just enough of it without it taking me out of it. I felt like this was relatively realistic for the most part, other than, obviously Onatop's death, Sean Bean's death, some of the stuff that is a little over the top, but it's nothing absurd. It still plays in the realm of reality enough to where you don't feel like you're not disconnected from this world.
You don't think much on it. You accept it.
Was fun. My gripes are basically I do think the music sucked in this. I do think Pierce Brosnan gets overshadowed quite a bit, I think, but it's just because the cast that we have in this movie, they all do a phenomenal job.
He's the perfect look for Bond. The absolute perfect head to toe look.
He looks
Bond.
like Bond, and the way that he talks, his dialect, and the way that he carries himself is very much Bond.
Even though he is Irish.
Yes.
Irish American.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun time. I don't think it really dates itself that much. I think it is one of the Bond movies that pushes the chapter forward into the modern century with like powerful female characters, because usually you don't kind of get that. And I think you got it here on full display. Kyle, you're a big Bond guy. Tell us what you thought of GoldenEye as an adult.
Well, it's still a movie it's fun to watch. The cinema, again, I always go back to like, is the cinematography good? Like, do they have good shots? Is the action is the choreographing, the action sequence is good? Is the acting good? Yes, to all of that. And like, I hear what you're saying about the campiness. I don't attribute Pierce Brosnan as much to campiness, although there is a lot of that in some of the movies. This is where we start getting like a darker theme from James Bond. Tomorrow Never Dies, which is the next movie in this installment, which we'll get to at some point, is quite dark. It's got some themes in there that are kind of like, as a kid watching it, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, that's kind of, wow. They just kill people. Okay. It gets into some dark kind of shit. Not that other James Bonds aren't, but like the Roger Moore stuff is not very dark. It's just kind of like mischievous, like deaths. Like, ha! Oh, we're going to destroy the world and reproduce on a satellite and Moonraker. Ha! It's really kind of fucking dumb. But this is like kind of dark. Like his reasoning behind it, like the villain is dark. Even like a lot, like just hanging out in fucking St. Petersburg, and like this again, the cinematography is done very well. It doesn't take me out of it. It doesn't date itself very much, and it's a fun watch. I didn't at any point, I wasn't on my phone like zoned out like I do with some of the other bullshit that we watch. Like, this is actually, it's a good movie, and it's a good movie for the holidays. It just has like The score, while it is kind of hit or miss at some points, it is a better themed score that they got into for James Bond that you don't really see a lot of anywhere else because of the kind of like the aspects we were talking about before, where they had to replace somebody halfway through. But you can tell, but they still made it work, and it wasn't the most expensive film ever made, and they made a lot of money off of it, and it kickstarted a whole new genre,
right?
Or not, but it kickstarted a whole new era for James Bond.
So I've watched some of the Daniel Craig James Bonds, which came after this. I didn't watch all the Pierce Brosnans, but to me, this Bond, even though it does have its comedy in it and it gets a little slapsticky, it's, like I said, it's not over the top. It doesn't take you out of it. It's just like entertainment value. But it seems like there's far less of it in this movie than there were in the past, and it kind of drives Bond to more of a serious, grounded. I think you said on last week's episode, it's kind of like when you get to the Daniel Craigs, you're in the Christopher Nolan Bond areas, like what Christopher Nolan did to Batman.
You can't really... And there's more of a backlog for James Bond than there is for like the cinematic universes of the comic books that we know, which I also appreciate a lot more. I'm not a comic book fan, but
yeah, we know.
Thank you. But I think that this does a good job of like it bridges the gap between a pretty crucial era. The beginning of the 90s was like, it's a pretty peaceful time, like except for the Gulf War and war in Afghanistan.
Right, because this was 95? 90.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah.
It's
year of Clinton.
It's a pretty like relatively peaceful time after some pretty big tumult, and they capitalize on a lot of pop culture and like the Berlin Wall falling. Even though they don't mention it, it's still like known that like this is like this is a weaker Russia, and it just hits a lot of notes it's fun to watch.
Well, they do use a little bit of the politicalness with Russia in this one because Russia is trying to like continue, because at the beginning they try to help Bond. It wasn't like that they were against him. They captured him and then he was helping them, and they were like talking about like getting rid of the general. And instead of being like, oh, this Brit, what does he know? He's trying to sabotage us. So that was a turn in the movie. And then of course it backfired on him because of sabotage and stuff, but it wasn't out of like, you didn't think the Russian military was out to get Bond too, and it was... Effect
of the military, which is very much like, again, topicalness of the time was a big fear in the intelligence communities with when Russia falls, what's going to happen to all of the fucking weapons of mass destruction, which the oligarchs kind of divvied up between themselves, but a lot of them just kind of went to the black market, and that's where this, and then also... beginning of the next movie, Tomorrow Never Dies, gets into that as well, which is like, where are these weapons going, and who gets a hold of what? And it's like, that's what happened at the end of the Cold War. They didn't have any money. They got bankrupt at the arms race, and they needed to make fucking money off shit, so they started selling. And that's where this comes in, and it's topical. It's good, like it. There are some parts that are really bad, but like almost every James Bond movie up until Daniel Craig, and even some of the Daniel Craigs are not good, has that whiff of like, really?
I don't think there was anything like too egregious in it. And I think it's still kind of because of the practical effects that they use. This movie still stands today. Like this. Oh, for sure. Yeah, sure. Some of the technology that they're using, but I mean, I don't think that. I know that dates movies, but at the same time, I don't think that makes movies unwatchable. It's just you're looking at a snapshot of a different time. I think that's what Bond does pretty well. There's so many movies. There's 25 movies over the span of 50, 60 years. You're going to have a snapshot in each decade that you look at. And this kind of gives you a snapshot of the mid-90s where everything was pretty peaceful and there wasn't as much unrest. But there still is people out there doing their thing in the middle of this peaceful time. So, Kyle, what would you give this movie as an IMDb rating?
I'm just going to go with a solid 7. Like, it's definitely not like anything better than a 7. If I wasn't a James Bond fan, I'd probably give it like a 6.5, 6.6. But like, it's a solid movie. It's a good watch. I would rewatch it because I'm a James Bond fan. If you're not a James Bond fan, I don't think this is something that you're going to want to rewatch every year. But it is good. It's a good movie. Yeah.
Andrew, what about you?
Let me give it a nice 6.9.
There you go.
Nice. I was going to say 6.8.
I was going to say 6.8 too because of the sexual themes of this and James Bond in general, gonna put it right at 6.9.
I think that's fair.
There you go.
But you can't give all of them a 6.9.
No. It's got to be something specific. And
You can give Octopussy 6.9.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6.8. Andrew, can you tell me what it is on IMDb? Do you know?
it is 7.2. I looked it up when you asked that question.
you go.
Okay, so we're like
right on the money.
Yeah, Kyle, does it hold up?
Yes, absolutely.
Andrew, does it
Yeah.
hold up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it gets high praise too from James Bond fans. It's usually in the top 5 to 6 of people's rankings on James Bond movies. So I think this is a good one to start with. I would say if you're in your 30s and you remember the game, but you didn't watch all the James Bond movies, I think this is a fair start.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And I think from here, it would be best to go like give yourself a couple Pierce Brosnans and then venture into your Sean Connerys, like the original good ones.
We're going to take your advice because next week we're hitting Thunderball.
Yeah.
So we're going some Sean Connery there.
Curious, why Thunderball? Why not Goldfinger or...
Because Goldfinger is way overplayed. It is not the best Sean Connery movie. And the other ones don't, because Goldfinger gets so much playtime. It's the one, Odd Job, and then Pussy Galore. No, it's so good. Fort Knox again. It is not the best. It's not the best shot one out of all of them. It is, I would say, the least dynamic. Like Thunderball goes on a journey. Like you go from point A to point B to point C to point D, and the end of that movie is still one of my favorite sequences in any movie. But like practical effects wise, is amazing.
There you have it. That's Kyle curated this list. So we're hitting Thunderball next week.
What comes after?
Well, I'm not going to tell you, Andrew. You got to listen to the show. If I gave away everything up front, all 5 of our listeners wouldn't listen to us.
Okay, you're going to tell me when we're done recording, though.
But in the meantime, you know what we do here. We reach into the James Bond movies of your past, pull them out to see if they truly hold up. Today, we pulled out GoldenEye and found out it holds up. Video game, no. But the movie, yes. So go back, sit back, and watch it. You got plenty of time over Thanksgiving to hit all of these. And you can catch us on Instagram or Andrew's favorite, TikTok. He's nodding.
I'm nodding. All I'm thinking about is the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald and the good men that we lost 50 years ago.
Please go out and think about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Spend some time in silence today. Those brave souls, those 29 lost souls. Please think about them on this anniversary. And as always, we'll see you next week when we catch Sean Connery in Thunderball.